This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. We're continuing in Mishna Berura, Daf Hashavua. We're up to Siman Mem Aleph. I want to give a big yashikach to Rabbi Yeager for giving the Dvar Halacha every day. Appreciate it. The Olam very much enjoyed. Shkayach. Okay, we're continuing Siman Mem Aleph. Din hanoise masoi ech yinag b'tefillin. Someone who's carrying a package, how should he accord himself with tefillin? In other words, you're carrying something. What's the proper way to carry the tefillin? Says Mechaber, hanoise masoi al roishai. Someone who's carrying a package on their head. So it's very hard to balance a package on your head when you got the tefillin on. Tefillin shorosh ad sheyaser hamasai. You remove the tefillin shorosh until you take off the package. Va'afilu mit pachdai asr lahaniach al harosh sheyesh by tefillin. Even your wrapping, even your hat, it is prohibited to put on your head that has tefillin. So this mitpacha, some kind of headscarf, should not be put on the head, not the hat, but rather the headscarf, which is used basically to shoulder the burden of the package. So you can put on if you have tefillin on. Aval davar shadarka litim rosh, something which is typically on the head, could go in koiva. For example, had oim mitznefes or a turban, mutter, that is permitted. Says Ramah Hagava Filu Hachi Imhu Masui Kaved Arba Kabin Vatfilin Nidchakos Tzarach Lahasiran. Nevertheless, if it's a heavy burden of 4 kav and the tefillin are then being pushed out of its place, you need to remove it. So l'chara, this means that if the hat is too heavy, in other words, a shtramel, which weighs, I don't know, 67 pounds, I'm not sure how heavy it is, but if it's heavy and it's going to put the tefillin out of the right place, then you cannot have the hat. In other words, the hat is a problem if it's too heavy. Says Mishna Berura hanoise masoi zeh ma'iri b'chol hayom. This is talking about the rest of the day. In other words, if someone has to carry a package during Shema and Shemon Esrei, then you don't take off the tefillin. Lo b'shas kriya Shema tefillah v'ayin lekaman sim tzadi zayin sif hey. Okay, says Mishra al Rosha. Vimhu noise masay al yadav makamton. Let's say you're carrying something on your arm in the place of tefillin, like an alligator. You know, you're carrying an alligator on your hands, so that could interfere with the tefillin shal yad. The mistama mechusinheim, mistama the tefillin shal yad are covered. The leka ganai ain sarach lachleis. In other words, there's a fundamental difference between carrying a package on your head and on your arm. On your head, the tefillin shorosh are supposed to be uncovered. So if they're uncovered, the package is going to be on the tefillin. So in that case, it's a ganai. However, if it's on the arms, which the tefillin shal is covered, you don't have to take it off. Kiyim b'sheyesh b'hamasa arba kaven. Unless the masa has 4 kav, the az mistama tefillin roitzitzos al yedei zeh, because then the tefillin probably gets shaken up through this and could get ruined. You take off the tefillin shorosh. If it's possible to remove the package to the side, not in the place of tefillin, in other words, let's say you could balance the package like, I'm not sure where you're planning, where on the head. He has a big head, so he could balance the tefillin on the head, not in the place of tefillin. You know, you get on the yarmulke, you know, the tzuras are going around, and you're not putting it on the makam tefillin. From the Pri Megadim says, "Motor mikamakom and yeshua masar bakabin." If they're 4 kavin, if it's a weight of 4 kav, nerish yesh lahachmer af b'chahigavna, would seem that you should be machmer even in such a case. Ayin beisese. Ulahoitzi zevel al roishai. Now you want to transport fertilizer. Afilu ma'at, afilu tzadin, asar. Why? So in other words, you want to just take in an ounce of fertilizer. I have a friend in the north of Eretz Yisrael. He deals in high-end worm fertilizer, not stam fertilizer, high-end fertilizer. Still, you want to take out a little bit in a schnapps glaze. You want to put it on your head. Can't do it, even a little bit. Unless when you take off the tefillin shorosh from upon you, shari, then it's permitted after noisa shalyad. Meaning, if you want to transport fertilizer on your head with the tefillin shalyad on, that's okay. V'im yirtze lohoitzi zeval al hayad. Now, what if you want to transport fertilizer by hand, not on your head? Then it could be that even if the tefillin are covered in your clothing, then there's a bizayon for the tefillin. So it's more of a bizayon if you're transporting it by carrying it. Not sure why transporting it in one's hand is considered a bigger bizayon than transporting on one's head, but that's a bizayon for the tefillin. The Dirshu brings down, what about you're a nurse, you're not a nurse, but a male nurse, or a doctor. You want to transport a bag of urine, or somebody had his urine tested and whatever, in a test tube or in a jar. So if someone is wearing tefillin, they can transport a avit shamei raglayim for bedikas choila wearing tefillin. The Shulchan Aruch does say it's Siman Mem Gimel Siftes about nefesh to be machmer mutter. Then it's permitted. This is going on a hat. A hat is permitted. After munach ala tefillin. Ein bezeh bezayin latefillin. Even though it's put on the tefillin, it's not a bezayin for the tefillin. Kivan shudach malbush. So you're allowed to have tefillin. You're allowed to have a hat on the tefillin. It's not a bezayin because it's the derech. It's the derech malbush. Now I assume that means it's not covering the shalrosh. Now I know some people, they wear 2 pairs of tefillin and they hide one of them under their yarmulke. Okay, but if you have a very big hat, should be careful the weight of the hat doesn't move the tefillin out of its place. Now, what is considered too heavy of a hat? Arba kavim, which is chafhei litrois, sheshoiklin by hakesef beprag. It's 25 litrois in the way they measure silver in Prague. According to the Chazon Ish, it's 9.6 liter. But according to Chaim Noah, it's about half of that, 5.5. Nidchakos. Now, this doesn't mean ein perusha shatfilim zozim ukam legamri. It doesn't mean that the tefillin are moving out of its place completely and they're not in the munach properly. This is obvious that it's aser v'afilu imason kal, even if it's light. It doesn't mean it pushes it out of its place completely, but it's starting to put pressure on it because of the weight, and it's sort of mitigating its space. So in other words, not pushing it out of its place, but rather it's getting very cramped. So now they're in danger of slipping beyond the place. The Bach is mekel regarding this by a hat or a turban. I wonder if the Ben Ish Chai, when he put on tefillin, or the chidah, whether, let me see. Yeah. I wonder if he took off this turban. There is a little spot over here. I don't know. If anybody has any information. Ben Ish Chai. Yeah, he looks very wrapped in that picture. Yep. So I don't know. We have to investigate. But it seems like if it's heavy, it's an issue. If it's going to infringe on the place, the Ramah says it's a problem, and the Bach is Mekon. Okay, great to see everyone. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bracha v'atzlacha. Thanks again, Rabbi Yeager. Hatzlacha. Kol tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.